Asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. So subscribe and hit the bell icon right now. So happy Asexual Awareness Week, otherwise known as Ace Week. In this special episode, I'm going to be answering your asexuality questions, and we're going to start with the basics of what is asexuality. So buckle up. If you don't know who I am, I'm Sandra Bellamy, author of this awesome Asexual Perspectives book, which is out on Amazon, full of lots of different stories from asexual perspectives on love, life, and sex around the globe. So if you're new to asexuality, want to know more about the asexual spectrum, or you just love reading other asexual stories, please go and grab a copy of this Asexual Perspectives book on Amazon. So let's crack on with the show. So yes, what is asexuality is the question on people's minds if they're new to this channel and they've not heard of this term before. Asexuality is a sexual orientation that is based on the lack of sexual attraction. I discovered I'm asexual in 2014, and for me that means I don't have any sexual attraction whatsoever. So there's two types of asexuals: those that don't have any sexual attraction whatsoever, they lack the whole of the sexual attraction in totality. They have zero sexual attraction. And there's other asexuals called grey asexuals, which lack the usual sexual attraction. I hope this is making sense. So put in chat any questions you've got, and I'll endeavour to answer them later on in the stream. Remember to keep the chat respectful, and I'll try and answer them and look at them in between what I'm saying. But it's important that I get out what asexuality is, right? Because there's still people that don't know about it, don't understand it, and there's so many myths and stereotypes, which I'm going to be busting through in this episode. So asexuality is based on the lack of sexual attraction. Now, there is a fuller definition of this, which is the longer definition, which most people are not aware of. And that is, asexuality is a sexual orientation that's based on the lack of sexual attraction and or little to no interest in sexual activities. The and or is really important because that means you could have asexuals that are experiencing no sexual attraction whatsoever, and that is what fuels them to not actually want to engage in sexual intercourse. And you have some asexuals that have no desire to engage in sexual activities, and they have little to no interest in sex itself. And so that means, someone put in chat, I love you too. Hello to you. And so hi to everyone in chat. I'm going to answer your questions, so post questions for me to keep answering later on throughout this, but I'm going to crack on with what I'm talking about. So with regards to asexuality, like I was saying, the full definition of asexuality is basically a lack of sexual attraction and or little to no interest in sexual activities. Thus, you could have some asexuals that have zero sexual attraction whatsoever. And like me, that might mean that you don't get the need, urge, or want for partnered sexual intercourse, and you don't want to engage in any sexual activities or have sex. Or you could have asexuals that have little to no interest in doing the sexual activity, even though they might have sexual attraction. It's not strong enough for them to want to actually engage in sexual acts and have sex, basically. They would form the grey end of the asexual spectrum usually. So pure asexuals are ones that experience zero sexual attraction. Grey asexuals are the ones that experience sexual attraction usually, but often in limited, rare, or specific circumstances, or they experience it but not enough to want to act on it. So that's why there can be so many variations of asexuals. Now, some asexuals are sex repulsed, like I'm sex repulsed for me personally, but I'm okay with other people who like having sex, who want it, who need it, and it's consensual by everyone that's doing it, right? I'm not worried about if they, other people want to have it, as long as I'm not a part of it and everyone's enjoying doing that, right? Obviously, unconsensual sex is a no-no, whatever sexual orientation you are. So some asexuals are sex repulsed, and they're completely sex repulsed. They don't like any sex whatsoever. They can't even understand why anyone would want to have sex. They're repulsed completely, as in they're repulsed not just for themselves but for other people and just in general. So they don't even like talking about this. And then you get some that are sex neutral, some that are indifferent, they don't care whether they have sex or not, and some that are sex positive. It's like, well, I'm happy to have sex, even though I'm asexual and don't experience any sexual attraction. Usually those people would be on the more sexual end of the asexual spectrum in general, because they would have some type of sexual attraction, even if it's low or doesn't give them enough sexual attraction to make them like fully sexual, if you know what I mean. So, describe themselves as sexual rather than asexual. So this is how we all end up having very, very varying degrees of things that we like to do and things that we don't like to do in regards to sex and sexual activity. So let me see what's in chat. Remember to keep the chat respectful. I have desire for pumpkins. Is that weird? Well, considering it's Halloween series? Halloween season, I meant. I don't think that's weird. Especially scary Jack of Lanterns. Well, like I said, it's pumpkin season, isn't it? It's Halloween season. It's 22nd of October. So there we go. I'm absolutely... Right, okay. So someone's saying things that sounds like they're depressed. If you're depressed, then obviously there is helplines out there like the Samaritans, and there's a lot of helplines for mental health. I'm not an actual qualified counsellor. I've got basic counselling skill course. I mean, I've been on a basic counselling skills course and I've got basic counselling skills, but that's it. I'm not qualified mental health practitioner. So if you're suffering with really dark thoughts, mental health difficulties right now, please seek help. Like I said, I'm not an actual mental health practitioner. So if you've got those dark thoughts, then please see someone like a therapist, a doctor, call the Samaritans or other help. The Samaritans is a UK helpline, basically, that's available to people who are in distress. So you can Google Samaritans. It's usually a free call. And there are other organisations in America and all over the world that can help you. So I'm really sorry you're going through that. But if you're having a tough time, please do call one of those helplines. I have to say that this is my personal experience of helping asexuals for over 10 years now on this channel. And do you know what I mean? But I'm not an actual therapist. I want to make that clear. So, the question asks, do you have any kids? No, I don't have any kids. And I've not wanted kids for definite since I was 15 years old, before I found out that I'm asexual. So as I talk about in this book, this is a question that I ask in this book, like, do you have kids and do you want kids, to 46 asexuals. The 47th asexual in this book is me. And there's a mixture of asexuals with the way they think about having kids. Some asexuals do want kids. They might have sex just to have the kids and then never have sex again. I've actually been in contact with asexuals who do this. They literally had sex just to have the kids and they never have sex ever again. There are some asexuals that want to have sex by natural means and they might participate in sex again. There's some asexuals that will have artificial insemination to have kids. There's some asexuals that will adopt to have kids because if they don't want the sex, they don't want the intercourse, they'll do it in other ways. And obviously there's fostering that they could do as well. Adoption, fostering, there's various ways without physically having it. And I don't know if any asexuals have actually had a surrogate. I don't know that information. I've not come across one yet, but it doesn't mean to say there isn't one. And personally, for me, I've never wanted children. I knew when I was 15 years old that I never wanted kids, way before I found out I'm asexual. And I'm actually pregnancy repulsed, so I have repulsion over pregnancy. It's something that makes me feel really uncomfortable and disgusted. I know it's natural for the majority of the population in the world. It doesn't feel natural to me. I don't like seeing pregnant women, to be honest. It doesn't do anything for me. It just... I had to work opposite a nursery, and it took me 2.5 years to even come to terms with the fact that women going around with a pregnancy... I'm okay to see it more now than I used to be, but it's really, it's really not something I feel comfortable with personally. I'm happy for other people that want a baby and it's the dream of theirs, but it's just really not for me. I don't want that lifestyle. Definitely don't want something inside me like that. It would feel like an alien to me, and I just wasn't born to give birth to babies. So I like to live a really young teenager style life, and love it, on my own, be up till the early hours of the morning, that type of thing. So yeah, so asexuals have mixed views on whether they want kids or not. There's someone in this book and they say there's nothing natural about pushing something out the birth canal. Do you know what I mean? That's their perspective in the book, and so there are other asexuals that don't want children as well. And I asked myself the question at 15, like, would you want to adopt? And I'm like, well, if I was having a child, I'd much rather adopt, I definitely wouldn't physically have a kid. Naturally, I just wouldn't do that. But I decided then I don't want to do that either because I want to live a life. So, yeah. I hope that answers your question. So yeah, that's why I don't have kids. I don't want that lifestyle. I mean, some people have said, well, you don't have to change your life if you have kids. I just don't agree with that. If you have children, you have to make them the priority in your life. You have to change their nappy. You have to feed them. You have to clothe them. You've got a huge responsibility. You've got to take them to school or nursery or whatever they're doing. You've got to spend 18 years of your life or more with them, bringing them up. I don't want that responsibility or that life. I like to live my own life, not for someone else. So yeah, it's just not where I'm at and not what I want. It was my dream. No, it wasn't my dream. It was my mum's dream to have me, to have a child. And that was her dream, and to be a housewife. I'm the exact opposite to my mum. It's like, I never want to be a housewife. I don't like cooking and cleaning for a guy or anything like that. And I definitely don't want children. Obviously, I'd rather do housework than have kids, but I don't like that either. Do you know what I mean? So I hope that answers your question as to why I don't have kids and why I don't want them personally of my own. So yeah, it just doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. I'm not married, I'm single, I don't want marriage either. And I prefer to live separately even if I have a relationship. So yeah, I don't like conventional relationship personally. And I think that's, something that's just in me, whether I would be asexual or not. But obviously asexuality does make me different to a lot of people in the world. So going back to asexuality and pure asexual versus a grey asexual, pure asexual, like I said, doesn't experience any sexual attraction whatsoever. But some asexuals that don't experience any sexual attraction could still be okay with having sex, because if you don't experience sexual attraction, it doesn't mean you have to have a lack of sexual action. Now, a lot of asexuals who are not interested in sex, they don't have sexual attraction, they don't have usually a desire to have sex. There's no motivation there. There's no instinct. There's no impulse to have sex. But with some asexuals, they're in relationships with sexuals and they might participate in sex. Some of them will participate in sex even if they wouldn't usually instigate themselves. There's a number of asexuals I come across and they say, well, I would not instigate sex with my partner, but if they want sex and they instigate with me, then I'm okay about doing that. So that's what some asexuals say. Now, if you are coming across a sex repulsed asexual, someone who really doesn't like sex, if someone is trying to push that person to have sex, then obviously that can feel very discomforting. It can feel like a lot of pressure. It can feel like they're trying to be pushed into something they don't want to do, and that's really unfair. So every asexual person is different. If you come across an asexual, it's always best to ask them how their asexuality affects them, how it works in their everyday life, what their views are on things, because like I said, what is for one asexual is not for the other. So for example, even though I'm an asexual who experiences zero sexual attraction, I have high arousal levels for kissing, not for sex, for kissing. Now, I have to tell a guy, if I'm dating him, there's going to be no sex. I'm asexual. I'm not interested in sex. But I do love kissing. And I have to help him to understand that just because I kiss him passionately, with my clothes on, that I like to keep my clothes on, his hands around my back, I won't be having sex with him. So, with the general population, the majority of people being heterosexual, if someone was really kissing them passionately, like if a heterosexual was kissing another heterosexual passionately, that would usually be a precursor to sex, right? It would usually be getting the person in the mood, and it would usually be signs in body language that that person really was up for having sex. Doesn't mean to say it is that way, but that would usually be a body language sign. But as I've said before, any sex which a person doesn't want can be sexual abuse, right? And so you've got to be careful, whatever sexual orientation that you're with, that you don't take something as a come on and like, yeah, this person definitely wants sex. You always should ask a person whether they want that or not, if that's your intention, right? But if when it comes to asexuals and a person, for example, like me, who experiences zero sexual attraction but has high levels of arousal for kissing, it could come across to a guy that I might want sex in my body language because I'm doing all the signs that a heterosexual usually do. But because I don't experience sexual attraction, I'm not interested in sex. I can kiss a guy for long periods of time. I'm a hyper kisser, which is rare for any sexuality. I have not met so far in the whole world ever so far another hyper kisser. There's a few hyper romantics that have come on here. Hello, Amy. But I have never met a hyper kisser. So most asexuals tend to be more female than male. So you get more female asexuals usually in general than male. And you get more asexuals who are not romantic, they're aromantic. They lack romantic attraction. So that think of A in front of the sexual, asexual, as absence of sexual attraction. A in front of romantic put together as absence of romantic attraction. So if you've got an asexual aromantic person, they're absent of sexual attraction, they're absent of romantic attraction, right? So there tends to be more of those type of asexuals, the ones that aren't feeling romance and aren't experiencing romantic attraction. So it's very, very important that you understand that. So I'm just going to go to chat a minute. Are you gay? No, I'm 100% not gay. I get attracted to guys, but I just don't get attracted to guys sexually. I don't get attracted to anyone sexually. And it's a really annoying question when people ask me that, because asexuality is not about being gay. Asexuality is not experiencing sexual attraction to any gender or anyone, or it's a lack of sexual attraction, right? Lack meaning two things. You can have no sexual attraction, which is what I have, zero sexual attraction, or you can have it in limited, rare, or specific circumstances only, which is a grey asexual, not the usual sexual attraction. So I'm 100% not gay. I'm interested in the opposite sex, which is guys, romantically, aesthetically. I have close attraction, I have intelligence attraction, creative attraction, spiritual attraction, emotional attraction for guys. Have up to about 8 different attractions. I've done a video on this before called 8 asexual attractions, although you can have those attractions even if you aren't asexual. And so I'm really attracted to guys, not every guy obviously, but not sexually. I don't get the need, urge, or want for partnered sexual intercourse at all. Even if I'm kissing a guy for long periods of time, I don't have those feelings. I'm not wired like that because I'm asexual. So in terms of sexuality, you can get heterosexuality, homosexuality, which would be, heterosexuality. We all know that is the majority population is heterosexual. Then you can have homosexuality, which is people who are gay and sexually attracted to each other. Then you have bisexuality, people who are attracted to two genders, or pansexuality, people who are attracted to multiple genders. Then you have asexuality. So heterosexuality, homosexuality, bisexuality, pansexuality, and asexuality. 5 different sexual orientations. So that's how asexuality fits into sexual orientation, right? I hate it when people go, oh, you lesbian just because you don't want sex with guys. It's like, no, I'm asexual. I just don't experience sexual attraction. What is a hyper kisser? So a hyper kisser is not normal for any sexual orientation. Like, definitely not asexuals. A lot of asexuals only like a little bit of kissing, usually, like a peck on the cheek, a little peck on the lips. So for me, like, I'm a hyper kisser, which is not normal. And a hyper kisser means I kiss for prolonged, extended periods of time. So, like, I can kiss for up to 4 hours or more, nearly non-stop, and not get bored. I mean, I literally have kissed guys for 4 hours or more. But usually, you know, like, these are guys I've been in a relationship with mostly, apart from one, I think it was. So, but I have kissed guys for over an hour or 2 hours that I haven't been in a relationship with. Like, I had, there was a guy recently, but he didn't want a relationship. Like, I won't stay kissing a guy, you know, like that, because I would like it to do that in a relationship. But there was a situation that happened recently that I've talked about, and we ended up kissing for about 2.5 hours, but mine was toilet breaks because I had to go to the toilet and stuff like that. So that is, what is pan? Pan is short for pan romantic or pansexual. Usually it's a term for, so pan is short for pansexual, panromantic. So if a person is asexual and they're romantically attracted to multiple genders, then that would be asexual panromantic, someone who's attracted to multiple genders romantically. But asexuality itself is not tied to a gender. You can be any gender and be asexual. So, you know, you can be a female, a male who's asexual. You can be a trans person who's asexual, non-binary, gender fluid, demi-boy, demi-girl. Lots of different genders you can be and be asexual. So asexuality is part of the LGBTQIA plus community. It's the A stands for asexual and some other things. As a heteromantic asexual, someone who's only attracted romantically to guys, just attracted to guys, it's difficult to fit in there when, you know, the rest of the LGBT plus QIA team, if you like, is usually attracted to more than the opposite gender, or not attracted to just the opposite gender. Like, they're attracted to the same gender usually, because obviously you've got gays, you've got bisexual in the LGBT plus community, pansexuals. And the difference between asexuals and the rest of the LGBT plus QIA spectrum is we're not sexually attracted to people. The rest of the LGBT plus QIA community is sexually attracted to people. So that's how we vary, because we're not sexually attracted to anyone, or at least we lack sexual attraction to anyone, where that's fully lack, or lack as in not having enough of it. So we don't quite fit in that way. But some asexuals who also experience attraction to the same gender, or two genders, or multiple genders, will feel more like they fit into the LGBT plus QIA community, because they could identify as a gay asexual, or a bisexual, or a pansexual, depending on how they view themselves. Some asexuals hate it if they are romantically attracted to the same gender, but you say they're gay, because they believe that if they're not sexually attracted to the same gender, then they're not gay. They believe that if they're romantically attracted to the same gender, that's not gay. I personally have a different view on that in some ways, but I'm not attracted to the same gender anyway. So, you know, I'm not in their position. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question so far. And in terms of like navigating relationships when you're asexual, it can be really difficult. But what I would say is it's always better to be honest. So if you're on dating sites, whether they're asexual dating sites or traditional dating sites that are more for broader sexualities, like predominantly heterosexuals, it's always best to be upfront. I always say put it in your profile bio. Some people might not like to do this, but it's really important to be upfront, because if having sex is a deal breaker for someone in a relationship, then it's better to get that out of the way straight up front in the profile, because otherwise you'll end up going down a road or path, figuratively speaking, with someone who then you say, well, I can't do that because I'm not interested in it. And they're like, well, why did you waste my time? Because sex is normal to them, right? Even if it's not normal to asexuals who don't want it, like it, or need it, right? So it's very important to be very upfront on dating sites. I have asexuals I've seen in groups that say, oh, I've been dating this person for X amount of weeks or months, and I'm really scared they're going to find out I'm asexual, or I'm going to have to tell them I'm asexual and they're not going to like it and they're going to leave me. And they might leave you if they really need the sex, and it's one of their deal breakers. It's one of their critical criteria for being in a relationship. They cannot live without sex. And that means you've wasted your time and you've wasted their time. So it's really important for everyone to be very upfront and open and honest about their sexual orientation. Like some people who are bi, for example, they also have a specificity for which person, or I should say which gender they prefer. Right? Because bisexuals, for example, they can have a preference for one particular gender even though they're attracted to two genders. A biromantic person, someone who's romantically attracted to someone, can have a preference for a specific gender, even if they're attracted to two genders. So it's really important that we don't put our own stipulations on other people, that we actually listen to what they say and learn about the other person so that we can make an informed choice or decision if that person's right for us. Compatibility is the biggest issue in all relationships of any sexual orientation. So in order to assess if you're compatible, one of the things is you need to know, is that person going to want kids? I don't want kids. A lot of asexuals don't want kids because it requires having sex. But the ones that do want sex, they are willing to have a family, maybe by natural means or unnatural means, depending on the individual asexual person. But it's really best to not make assumptions because every asexual is different. Like I love kissing. A hyper kisser, like I said, is kissing for long periods of time. I'm talking hours and never getting bored. That's not normal for any sexual orientation. That's the way I am with my clothes on. I'm not interested in being naked with a guy. I don't want to do that, right? It's all the passion and all the excitement is literally in the kissing, the mouth with the tongue, usually. That is it, really what I love, right? That's what I like. But this is not normal for the majority of the population. If I ask a guy like, how long can you kiss for? Usually it's like, oh, the longest is about 45 minutes. I'm like, oh, right, okay. Fuck. That's not very long to me for full-on kissing session, but there we go. But yeah, I mean, 45 minutes is okay, but it's not my full, like, you know, I would like to do a lot more than that. Like, if a guy can only kiss 45 minutes maximum ever, that probably wouldn't be suitable for me. But so, you know, so asexuals tend to be more female than male, like I said earlier. They tend to be more aromantic than romantic, so there tends to be more asexuals that lack romantic attraction as well as sexual attraction. So as a female asexual person, it means my pool of people to choose from if I'm trying to match in a dating or relationship scenario with an actual other asexual person, it means my pool is limited if I'm female and attracted to guys and very romantic, because women are more prevalent in the asexual community. More people are prevalent in the asexual community than non-romantic. Do you know what I mean? That's cutting two things out. I'm not attracted to women and I really need romance. So that again puts me in a position where I have less people to choose from. Also, a difficulty with asexual dating relationships is we're all spread out around the world globally. It's not very often you come across many asexuals in your specific part of the city, or if it's a small city, maybe you don't come across many at all. And, you know, if you go to a big city, you might get lost in all the people and find it hard to find an asexual person. But even when you do find an asexual person, they could be very, very different to yourself. They could decide that they want more touching, for example, more sexual acts without the actual intercourse, for example. That would be too much for me. So some asexuals, they are touch averse. They don't want to be touched at all. You know, they don't want that type of physical contact. Some asexuals like me, we're okay with keeping our clothes on and kissing, holding hands, cuddling. Other asexuals are okay with nudity, but only doing certain types of touch. Other asexuals are okay with sexual acts, but not sexual intercourse. And then you've got some asexuals that will do sex and the touching and different sexual acts and different things. So it all depends on the asexual that you're with or that you're speaking to. And it's really imperative that you do treat every asexual individually. Hello, gorgeous, says Chris. Hello to you. And so it's very important that you treat every asexual as an individual. So for me personally, I love kissing, I love holding hands, I love cuddling, but I don't like all the often deal breaker things for guys in relationships. Like, I don't want marriage, I don't want sex, I don't want kids, and I would like a guy to live near me, very near me, but not with me, because I prefer to live on my own. I find it very difficult to have someone in the same bed as me because I have fibromyalgia and spinal injuries, if you didn't already know that. And so really I like to have my bed to myself for physical pain reasons. In a romantic sense, I'm like, oh, it'd be nice to just cuddle you, but I usually can't sleep in front of other people. And, even if I can, it's for very short periods of time. So I'm one of these people that if I go on the sleeper train from London back to my city of Exeter, I'm the one who's like awake all the time when everyone else is sleeping. It's like I can't sleep in front of other people usually. There's rare exceptions, but usually. I was in a relationship last year and I could sleep with the guy, but it's only about 2 hours sleep the whole night. I just couldn't sleep the rest of the time. Do you know what I mean? So that's not very good for me. It's not healthy. It's not sustainable. A person can't live on 2 hours sleep every day. A night is just not sustainable. So my idea of a relationship is a living apart together relationship. So this is something that sexual people do, not just asexuals. There's people in the population who are heterosexuals in relationships with other heterosexuals, and they have a living apart together relationship. This means you're living separately, but you're very much together in a serious committed relationship. And you usually would live in the same town or city, but just around the corner from each other. So there are some couples that do this in a marriage, and they'll have two separate places with different furniture and things like that. There's some people that have kids in this scenario as well. The benefits of these is obviously you can have your own space, you can have your place looking how you want it to look. You can also, have what furniture you want, what decor you want. You can have your own space when you need it. You can be on different working schedules and patterns and not disturb each other as much. Because obviously, if you live together, which I have lived with guys before in the past, then if they're getting up and they're using the shower and everything and making a noise while you would be usually sleeping. So I like to do work at night, right? I'm usually midnight. I'm usually still awake at midnight. Like, I don't go to sleep usually till 4 a.m. in general, and I'll wake up at midday, right? That's my ideal sleep and time schedule, right? So I get up and I work in the afternoon and evening and night, basically. This type of thing. I have to fit in shopping and other things. So I'm not necessarily just doing work the whole specific time, but working, like shopping is work to me. It's quite hard, especially I've got broken bones in my spine. So that makes life more difficult for me. But you might have seen some of my videos, my weights videos, that's to rehabilitate my spine. And I digress here. I've digressed a lot onto other topics. But my point being is when you live separately, you can have your own lifestyle. And I feel that you can make a relationship work more if you're on different time scales, sometimes by living separately, because then you don't disturb the other person. Because when I used to be like on different time schedules to an ex, for example, he would get up and use the shower and I'd be awake and not being able to get back to sleep. And then that used to not give me my full sleep before when I was working an employed job years ago rather than being home self-employed now. So that used to be quite difficult. And a lot of people's problems are centered around bills and finance and money. Well, if you don't live with the person, you live separately, you pay for your own bills in your own place, your own food, and you have strict rules and, no one pays the bills for each other. You just pay your own bills and look after yourself. That to me is a much more healthier relationship because you're not like relying on the other person to pay your bills and stuff. You're able to like afford that yourself, and you shouldn't be getting in debt for your partner or them getting in debt for you, and you should be able to budget yourself effectively. To me, this is more helpful for a relationship because you shouldn't have any problems with arguing about money because you should be having separate bank accounts and paying your own bills and paying for your own food. And you should establish ground rules about that from the beginning. So that they pay for all their own food, they pay for their stuff. If they bring stuff over to you, then they pay for it. You shouldn't be expected to do that. So basically you'll have less, the theory is you'll have less arguments over money. What do you work as at those hours? I am an author as well as a YouTuber, as you can see from this channel at gone 1 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, this is one of my books, Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories, Love, Life and Sex, A Celebration of Asexual Diversity. That's one of my books. Diary Confessions of a Hyper-Romantic Asexual, 78 Life Lessons to Asexual Life. It's another book. Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook, How to Manage Fibromyalgia to Have Less Pain, More Energy and Feel Happier Like a Superhero Rock Star. These are 3 of my books. So yeah, I mean, my day's been packed. So like from the moment I got up, I had to go to, if we do my whole day, because we're into the next day now, I only had about 3.5 hours sleep yesterday. And that was Tuesday. Had about 3.5 hours sleep, and then I went to physiotherapy for my spinal injury. I got 3 broken bones in my spine, plus bulging discs and some other things. So I went to the therapist for physiotherapy at my doctor's surgery. So when I went there, I took my weights, handheld weights, to make sure that the exercises I was doing that's okay and what's not okay for my spine, because I haven't seen her since July, because I was supposed to be seeing the pain management team. So although this isn't related directly to asexuality, I talk about my asexual life on this channel. And you're asking me what I do, so I'm telling you. So yeah, this is like a day that's so packed. So I did the physiotherapy. I did exercises with weights in front of the physiotherapist. She told me to stop doing 2 of the exercises, which she feels could cause extra damage, and to slow down on some of the other ones. Slow and steady movements rather than me that likes to do big, full movements with everything. Right, so I got instructions from her. Then I'm going to tell you about what I've been doing in the last 24 hours. So after that, well, since I woke up, after that, I went to pick some coconut oil up from the health shop. Now, I use this topically on areas of my body because I can't use normal creams and things like that. So that's what I bought. I then went to Nando's to celebrate going over 1.5 million views on this channel. So I believe in celebrating your wins and successes in life. And this channel, I have been educating people about asexuality, sharing my life journey with you on here, my lifestyle videos, my educational videos, my entertainment videos, all here on this channel now for over 10 years. I started in October 2015, and it is October 2015 now, but we're a few days into October. We're towards the end of October, right? So for a decade, I've been helping asexuals on this channel with asexual advocacy, and we're showing people what it's like to have an asexual life, because there's a lot of myths and stereotypes about asexuality. Some people think asexuality is abstinence, which it definitely isn't. I'm not abstaining. I'm not suppressing or repressing myself. I don't have the need, urge, or want for sex. And there's nothing to suppress because I don't have those feelings in the first place. Right? So the fact that someone asked me if I'm gay on here when I've been snogging, guys on this channel, like had a guy, guys, I'm always talking about Indian guys, particularly on this channel, because I particularly like Indian guys, then, that should show that I'm definitely not gay, but I'm not gay anyway. But I'll just put that out there. So I share about dating and relationships and my life experiences on this channel. So anyway, so I went into Nando's because I believe in celebrating milestones and celebrating small and big wins. This is a huge win. So I hit 1 million views on this channel last year on the 23rd of December 2024. Thanks to all of you that commented, viewed, liked, shared, subbed my channel. That took over 9 years, right? Bear in mind, I started this channel in October 2015, and that was December 2024. So over 9 years it took me to get 1 million views on this channel, right? And then since then, in less than a year, I've gained over 500,000 views, right? How? Because I've been pushing and doing far more content on this channel, pushing myself to do far more content. Like in the last couple of months alone, like even now, I'm at 133, I should say, in a bit, 133,000, nearly 134,000 in the last 28 days views, right? Because instead of doing like a few videos, like I used to do 3 to 5 short videos a day. Now I'm doing 8 to 10 or more sometimes on average. Sometimes it's 12, been known to do even more. So I'm doing a lot more videos for you. So a lot of my day is taken up with videos, right? Because I share my own day in real time. Like I'm shooting videos, like a short video. I go into the city. You might have seen they're putting Christmas lights up in my city already. I'm in the city, you know. So when I went to the health shop, and then I went to Nando's, then I go back to do my shopping, and I noticed they're putting decorations up in my city. So I'm getting my camera out, switching my internet on my phone because it's not on all the time because I've got not that much internet outside my home, and then I'm shooting a video for you, showing you that it's October and they're already putting Christmas decorations up, right? After I've already shot a video in Nando's, taking time to eat my food, staff are pleased to see me in there because I'm a regular, I'm like a VIP now, the way they treat me, you know? So I'm shooting a couple of videos in Nando's. I'm shooting a video outside, you know, I'm constantly on my phone shooting videos all the time because I literally share my asexual life journey every single day. I'm shooting videos and uploading it like in real time. And I'm here in actual time with you live right now. So, but every day it's like this channel is my stage and I'm constantly doing the story of my real life here in real time. It's a bit like a virtual reality TV show constantly on here. It's my real life though. So, you know, I share very openly and vulnerably with the people on here so I can connect with you directly. I think this is really important for raising awareness of asexuality and what asexuality is about. I do a lot of videos on this channel that is not specifically about asexuality so that I can attract people outside of an asexual spectrum so that people can then eventually, when they're comfortable and when they get to know me a bit more, they can talk about asexuality like we are doing now with people who are not asexual as well as people that are asexual. So you can see that just because I'm asexual, I do some normal things as well as very abnormal things because I'm a happily crazy girl in a good way. But you know what I mean? I'm just like you. I sing songs. I go for a walk. I look at Christmas decorations. I eat food, just normal food, like not preening and prettying it up and all this lot. I want you to know that even though I'm asexual, you know, even though we might be different sexual orientations, if you're watching this and you're not asexual, we're still together in this world. We're still sharing the same world. We're still eating food. We're still watching movies. We're still chilling out. We're still doing things that are universal and relatable to each other. My mission is to get asexuality recognised as a sexual orientation in its own right throughout the globe so that no asexual has to live in fear of ridicule again. And by sharing my own asexual life journey, I'm normalising asexuality, which, you know, it is a normal sexual orientation for some people. Just that it's not normal in the sense of being a popular sexual orientation, as in being a sexual orientation that has a large population, right? Because asexuality is not a coat that you can try on, like, oh, I want to try my favorite coat on and be popular in that way. I mean, it's not popular as in the sense there's a minority sexual orientation that's asexuality. It's not a huge population of asexuals, but it is still really, because it's 1% of the population is meant to be asexual. They did a study about it years ago and recorded 1%. There might be a lot more than that because a lot of asexuals don't come out about being asexual like I do. But if you think that's 1 person in every 100 people you meet is likely to be asexual. So it could be a friend or a family member that's asexual, cousin, co-worker, and they're just keeping it from you because they don't want people to know about it, because a lot of people mock people for not having sex or wanting sex or needing it. They say stuff like it isn't natural, but it is natural for some people to not want, like, or need sex, just like it's natural for some people to not like pizza, just like it's natural for some people to not like chocolate cake, just like it's natural for some people to not like exercise, just like it's natural for some people not to like building, or just like it's natural for some people to not like specific types of films. Everyone has, you know, things that just isn't right for them and just isn't natural for them. That's why we're all in this world, because we're all beautifully different. Our uniqueness is our beauty, and that should be celebrated between all sexual orientations. So if I carry on with my day, I went to do the shopping. So I went around the city and did some shopping, food shopping, and I got a few more expensive items than I'd usually get, as in I got them in the moment rather than waited to do a bigger shop in stores that are further away that I could get cheaper prices on, because at the moment my back's quite painful. I hurt it more on Sunday when I was doing some exercises, and so it felt like it was tearing on Sunday, so that's made it harder for me. So at the moment I don't want to be going to do big shops at the moment. But anyway, my shopping trolley then broke on the way home, so I went in the bus. I'm telling you about my day. I got on the bus and it was okay then, but I got my weights because I took the weights to the physiotherapist, and I took them in a shoebox, but these were in my shopping trolley. It's meant to hold up to 20 kilograms, and the weights themselves were 6 kilograms, three kilograms on each arm, right? Because I can't do too strenuous stuff, obviously, with my spine injury. And anyway, I was on the bus, and then someone spilt a drink on the bus, and it went all over the place. You can imagine a tree with tree branches branching out. That's how it was with this liquid coffee or whatever, cappuccino. And I had to say something to the bus driver. Well, I felt I should, when the bus stopped. And so he had to then go to the bus station, which is luckily just across the road and around the corner, to get some roll, this massive blue roll, to soak up the drink. So then I went to get off the bus because I realised I needed some soap. And then my shopping trolley, the wheel went underneath and like basically concaved, or whatever you call it. It basically collapsed but wasn't fully off. And so I had to get back on the bus again because I couldn't drag that up the street. And then luckily the bus stopped not too far from where I lived. And then when I get in my home, I live up 2 flights of stairs and a block of flats. So then I had to leave the shopping trolley downstairs and go up with some of the shopping, then get my rubbish, come down and put it out, and then go up with the other shopping, and then carry the shopping trolley, the empty shopping trolley up empty. It had a bit of stuff in it, like receipts and waters, but a couple of bottles of water in the back, but everything else had been taken out of it. So this is like what I'm doing with my day. Then when I came back, I had a snack, and then I'm doing the video. So if you notice, there's a section on this channel. There's different sections, live streams. So this live stream is being recorded by YouTube, and then that'll go in the live tab, so you can watch it anytime. Then you'll see my shorts videos every day, daily vlogs. They are going in the shorts tab. And you'll see posts I do. They're under the posts tab. And then any videos I do will go onto the videos tab. So today I created a video using multiple different clips of videos. I had to do video editing to put multiple bits of videos together to create the video that you see on the videos tab, which is 10 years of asexual advocacy, giving a voice to the voiceless. And speaking, it talks about my speaking journey for being a global awards finalist. So I'm a finalist for Women's Business Awards, 2 business awards, the Speaker of the Year and Diversity Inclusion. And every day I'm trying to do stuff for those awards, because in order to win, I've got to get votes in November and get the judges, sorry. There's votes in November, but there's a lot of judging. You have to create a profile on the Women's Business Club, and you have to do a lot of things for it, like publicity. Last week I was on the Exeter Today website. It's a news site. My story was published, and I was in the most popular news. I was one of the most popular news items that day, and the article stays on there, right? So the article is on there, and that took a few days to get that arranged, 2 or 3 days in total to do everything to do with that. So I'm constantly working. I work more than people probably do in a 9-to-5 job. I would like to say I get paid for all this work I do, but unfortunately I don't get paid for all this work I do. Well, not very well. Like, my books are the main things that I sell, because I'm not monetized on YouTube. So most of my money I plow into my stuff that I do, to be honest. I have disabilities, which means I can't work for an employer. I am self-employed writer. So yeah. And I do have asexual t-shirts and things like that for sale on Redbubble and on Amazon. So that's kind of how I make a bit of money. But in terms of what I do, I work a lot more hours than the actual money I get. But I don't do this for money. I actually am not motivated first and foremost by money. I'm motivated by helping people, by a sense of responsibility and achievement. And, if I can make waves in the asexual community and in the media about asexuality, that to me is success. That to me is so much more successful than money that can come and go. Right, because that news article is going to go on now. It talked about me being an asexual advocate, and it talked about me being an asexual author, a global awards finalist. This YouTube channel it mentions, which is amazing publicity, so more people can come across my channel. And I spend most of my life talking, living and breathing asexuality. So, the video that's on this channel, which please go and watch it, it's over 15 minutes, but it's really insightful. It was based on a talk I did at Phonic FM, an interview I had, I should say, with Will Pollard. He interviewed me about being a global awards finalist. And after that, he produced a summary using Google AI Notebook. That was his choice to do that. That's what he likes to use. And when it did the talk, it did like a slideshow, which is really informative about me. It made one major error, and it basically focused on the fact that I use YouTube as my stage to speak the majority of the time, every day of my life, but that's the majority of my time in terms of public speaking is spent on YouTube rather than, going on stage. But I have been, publicly speaking outside of YouTube. For example, at Oxford University for Boo Talks, at the UK Asexuality Conference in Westminster in London. I was the opening keynote speaker of the Be and Become Summit. It was a 2-day online summit. So I have done other speaking outside of YouTube, but because the AI makes mistakes, it only picked up on the fact that I do the YouTube, that I share my daily life on YouTube. Warts and all is it, but I share my daily life on YouTube all the time, and YouTube is like my stage where I storytell in real time about my real life story ongoingly, so that I have a great connection with my community here, right? It feels like we know each other, right? Because with me writing for asexual and different topics like fibromyalgia, I don't just write about asexuality, although I love writing about asexuality. I'm working on how to date an AI bot book at the moment, but it feels like me and you know each other, right? It's like I'm in your lounge or wherever you watch me, in your pocket, and wherever, right? And I'm building a real community here, with people who want connection. And that's really lacking in today's world. And this is much more important for me than anything. So I actually put a lot of my own money into what I do. And I have a club as well called Asexualise Academy Club, but that doesn't have many members in it. And, so most of the money I have for website hosting, for example, is my own money that I use currently. I don't know if that'll ever change, but it's something I've been doing for a long time. But any donations obviously is welcome. There's links on this channel that if you want to donate, you can click through the link on PayPal and donate some money if you ever want to. If you appreciate what I'm doing and educating people about, or if you just like my entertainment, it all helps to keep the channel going and helps with the expenses of the website that goes with this and web hosting. And also I have to have a lot more internet, a better connection, a higher internet tariff to be able to do live stream like I do all the time, because I couldn't do it on one of my old plans years ago, so that costs a lot more money. So all this costs money, but I'm here to help asexual. I really love being on YouTube and I love building this community. It's just what I love to do. It makes me really, really happy because there's so many people online that are fake or that are faking things, that feel they can't be their true authentic self. There's so many people that are trying to do polished edited videos. Yeah, the video I did earlier, that was edited, right? I don't do many edited videos, but when I did it, it takes me quite a long time. You're talking about a couple of hours or more, because I'm not used to doing editing all the time. I used to do raw, real videos. Like, this is not scripted. This is ad-libbed. My videos, my short videos, are just ad-libbed the whole time. Usually the majority of my content is ad-libbed in real time with no editing. Like, it's raw and real in the moment, because I think that's what's missing in the world. Realness, authenticity. And I'm here to show you that you can be yourself. I don't wear makeup usually, if you notice that. I don't feel I need to wear makeup. I don't feel I need to impress people. I just want to be me. And here is a space I like to cultivate where we can all be ourselves. Whether you're asexual or not, you're still welcome here, providing you're respectful. And I'm trying to bridge the gap between asexuals and sexuals, because we have a lot of ground to cover. Because obviously we're different. But I have been in heterosexual relationships for the majority of my life. I had my first heterosexual boyfriend at just 6 years old. I thought I was heterosexual for years of my life. That's what I was conditioned by society and brought up to believe. It's not my parents' fault they didn't know that I wasn't heterosexual, because obviously they didn't know about asexuality. And so I thought I was heterosexual for years. I didn't know any different. I thought I was heterosexual that wasn't really into sex, didn't really like sex. That's what I thought I was. The fact I didn't really like sex should have been a clue, right? But I didn't know about asexuality to 2014. I have had sex in the past. I'm an asexual that has sex in the past. And then my last long-term relationship ended in 2011. And then in 2012, I took a year out of being in a relationship or dating. And then October 2012, I kind of started dating. And then, so that was nearly a year later. And then by 2013, I realized there's something very different about me, because I could be dating or in a relationship with a really hot guy. I was in a relationship with a 23-year-old Bangladeshi guy in 2013. And it really aesthetically hot, really good looking, very kissable. But I just couldn't bring myself to have sex with him because I just didn't feel that way. And I just couldn't do it. And I was doing things like sexual things at the time that I didn't really want to do just to please him. I would never do that now. Unless I wanted to do that, I wouldn't do it just for the sake of the guy and forcing myself to do that, And so I thought something's going on with me. Like, something's really different about me. I don't really understand. But I just came to the conclusion that I couldn't have sex anymore. That every time I was having a dating scenario or relationship like that, I feel like I was going to wet myself with the expectation of sex at the end of the night with like a date, or because that relationship ended quite quickly because he already cheated on me with another girl, because I wouldn't have sex probably. And also I found out later that he did actually want a visa. Someone told me they knew him and he was trying to get a visa, which I wouldn't have been able to give him anyway because I won't get married. So no guy's going to get a visa out of me to stay in the UK. But in any case, he still cheated on me with a girl and it wasn't nice. So we weren't together very long. And that was horrible, right? But a lot of asexuals do get cheated on, because if we don't really want sex and the other person really likes it and they're dishonest, then it means we get cheated on quite a lot, like that. But obviously there are heterosexual guys that cheat on their heterosexual girlfriends. And even though they have sex with their heterosexual girlfriends, they still cheat, and vice versa. So it doesn't mean to say that that's just because I'm asexual that someone would, cheat. Even if I was a heterosexual, which I'm not, they could still cheat, because some people are just like that. But I'm trying to explain to you that we're all different, but we all share a lot of commonalities, which I try to show through his channel. But so I was telling you about my day, I made this video, but if you look at the video, I've had to put lots of video clips together. And took some time to do, because I'm not doing video editing all the time. So that takes a lot of effort for me. I find it much easier to ad-lib, to do videos in real time, like live stream like this. Some people couldn't do this. They couldn't talk to a live audience. They couldn't talk to you like this in real time. They just couldn't do it. And a lot of people can't. When they do videos every day, they schedule them in advance. They're doing scheduling stuff all the time, even for short videos and stuff. Whereas I'm putting it out usually in real time or some hours later. There's sometimes I can't get all the video footage out. So, for example, I went to the aquarium a number of weeks ago. And I've just recently finished posting like the last lot of the video footage to do with that. Because I took like 50-something videos. And I like to do videos, the individual videos, and I also like to put together like montages, so they're like a whole highlights video to music. Because I think it's really nice, because it goes along nicely. And so I like to have the actual natural sounds of the waves, the water in the aquarium. And some people like it. They love sounds. It's very sensual. They have a lot of sensuality and sensual attraction, and they like certain sounds. So they like to hear the sounds of the aquarium. They like to hear what I'm saying about the fish and immerse themselves in that world with me that I was in. And then other people, they just want I just want the highlights. I don't want any chatting. I don't need to listen to the music or listen to the sound of the waves. I just want music. I just want to see bits quickly. So I do those types of videos because I try and monitor what my audience likes here. You know, I am becoming quite an educational entertainment style channel. So rather than just educational, I do a lot of entertainment stuff, if you like, on this channel. I think some people would call it entertainment because I do some singing recently. Some people like my singing, some people don't, that's fine. But I get a lot of views on those and I get a lot of thumbs up. So I'm guessing there's quite a few people that do like those videos. When I don't do them, it seems like people want them. So, and they're relatable, aren't they? I'm not saying I'm a pop star or I'm really like a professional singer or anything like that, because I'm not. I'm just like being me and singing a few lines from a song, and I'm like, you can sing it with me if you want. You know, it's like we're buddies here. Do you know what I mean? Like, come and join me. Come and have a bit of singing. Just chill out with me. Do you know what I mean? So that's how I like to be on this channel. I want asexuality to be normalised and easily, accessibly understood, and I want us to come together and forge good connection together, regardless of sexual orientation here, right? This is what's lacking in the world. People are just so like online a lot of the time, like preening themselves and putting makeup on, and the clothes they wear, it's like showcasing just one side of them, and everyone thinks this person's perfect. They got the perfect body, which obviously definitely I don't, because I'm curvy, and that wouldn't be a lot of people's perfect body. Look, you know, people are putting makeup on, I don't do that, and painting their nails, I don't do that, and you know, I don't do a lot of the things that other people do. And I want you to know that it's okay to be you. It's okay to not look perfect or whatever people visualize as being perfect. It's really important to just be your true, authentic self, especially in the digital world we live in. Do you know what I mean? It's important to listen to your own voice, to be authentic, and to live into who you really are. You know, like, I didn't even know that I was asexual till 2014. If you don't know the real life story behind that, which I tell in my asexual perspective book at the beginning, is basically I went to see a counsellor in 2014. And I said to her, I'm really worried because I want a relationship. I want kissing and cuddling, but I don't want sex. And she told me the worst thing she could have possibly told me. This is a professionally trained NHS counsellor in the UK, National Health Service, right? So she told me, you'll have to have sex if you want to keep a good guy. Just hear that again. She told me, you'll have to have sex if you want to keep a good guy. I mean, can you imagine how that felt? Even now I can feel it, you know, like how horrible that felt. I went to her because I needed help. I was worried I was going to be on my own because there was no one like me in the world, planet, and the universe who didn't want sex. And she basically said, she said, I've got to have sex in order to keep a good guy. I was absolutely horrified and mortified. I'm like, how can a guy be good for me if he's expecting me to do something or wanting me to do something I don't want to do in order to get love from him? Why should my genitalia have anything to do with how well he treats me or doesn't? This sends a damaging message, not just to me, but society as a whole. It's saying you've got to have sex in order to be loved. You've got to have sex in order for someone to treat you well and be good to you. This is just really damaging. So I went home because I was distraught. I went home and Googled, I love kissing but not sex. And that's when it came up with asexuality, and asexuality.org, which is the biggest online forum for asexuals. And I was like, oh my, like, I couldn't believe it. There was other people in these forums that wanted a relationship without sex, a romantic relationship without sex. And I'm like, there's other people like me. There's other people like me. There's other people like me. I'm like, oh my God. I can't believe it. I felt so relieved. Just imagine you've gone through your entire life thinking you're heterosexual. Then you like something's different about you. I don't know what it is. And then you get a horrified response by saying you're going to have to do something you don't want to do. And the thing you came to that person for to get help with, they're actually basically like shoving back in your face. Only to find out that actually there are other people like you and you don't have to have sex in a relationship. You really don't. There's lots of people that don't want it, don't need it, don't like it. And I'm like, now I know. Now I know that I don't have to have that anymore. It was such a relief. It's such a relief. And so, yeah, and then in 2015, I did my I said I did I should say I held my very first in-person asexual meetup. And it was just with 2 girls from asexuality.org. And we met in Nando's, actually, and we're chatting. We're even joking about sex. So that's really weird, because some asexuals don't want to talk about sex at all. Others just talk about it for educational purposes. And some people can make sex jokes for asexual, which might seem very contradictory. But if you're detached from the subject matter, I think sometimes it's easier to joke about the thing than if you're actually doing it and in it, if you know what I mean. So anyway, that was the start of my asexual meetup journey. And then I held asexual meetups in my city of Exeter in the UK for 5 years or more. And then I decided to go more and expand out into other meetups within my city of Exeter, so non-asexual meetups, to, you know, diversify myself in social relations with other people outside the asexual community, but also to talk about asexuality, so I could bring an asexual voice to the Exeter community where I live. And you know, that's how it springboards out, because if I talk about asexuality, for example, in Tech Exeter meetups, then they might have a friend who's asexual, or they might never have heard of it before and just want to be educated. Then if they come across with someone who's got signs of being asexual, they might be able to better advise them, or at least better understand them. That leads us into nicely talking about what are the signs of asexuality. Well, one of them, I think it's pretty obvious by now, but one of them is you have little to no interest in sex or sexual activity. You might have absolutely no interest in sex whatsoever. That is a huge sign that you are asexual. If having sex does not bother you, if not having sex does not bother you at all, you actually feel happy, relieved and glad, and even maybe excited to not have sex, that's a huge sign you're asexual. If you're at school or college or work or uni or whatever you are doing at the time, and some people are talking about sex and you feel like left out, you don't understand what the big deal is, you don't really relate to their conversation, then it's likely that you are probably on the asexual spectrum. What is the asexual spectrum? Asexual spectrum is a spectrum of all the different types of asexuals, like the categories of asexuality and the subcategories. So, for example, you can have heteroromantic asexuals. Those are romantically attracted to the same gender, but not sexually. You can have homoromantic asexuals. Those that are romantically attracted to the same gender, but not sexually. You can have panromantic asexuals. Those that are romantically attracted to multiple genders, but not sexually. Biromantic asexuals, those that are attracted to two gender romantically, but not sexually. And then you have different subcategories, like you can have grey asexuals and different subcategories. So one subcategory of grey asexuals, so grey asexuals in general don't experience sexual attraction, or don't experience the usual sexual attraction. They experience some sexual attraction, but not in the usual way, right? So pure asexuals don't experience any sexual attraction whatsoever. Grey asexuals, like I was going to talk about demisexuals, which is a subcategory of grey asexuality. So grey asexuals, in broad terms, they lack the usual sexual attraction, but they do experience some sexual attraction. So they experience sexual attraction, but only under limited, rare or infrequent, or under certain circumstances. So they experience it, but not enough to want to act on it, or under limited, rare or specific or infrequent circumstances. I hope that makes sense. So a grey asexual person might have another type of category of asexuality that they fall into under the grey asexual part of the asexual spectrum. And a demisexual would fall under the grey asexual part of the asexual spectrum, because a demisexual person can only be sexually attracted to someone who they've got a deep emotional connection and bond with. Until that happens, they can't experience sexual attraction whatsoever. This is different to someone who's got a preference for having a emotional bond first, for example. This is not a preference. A demisexual person can definitely not experience sexual attraction if they're just a demisexual, pure demisexual with no other grey areas. If they're pure demisexual, they can't experience any sexual attraction whatsoever unless and until a deep emotional bond has been formed, usually maintained and sustained by both people. And that is how come they fall under the grey asexual part of the spectrum, because a grey asexual person is usually someone who only experiences sexual attraction under limited, rare, or specific circumstances. And in this case, it's the specific circumstance. They have to have an emotional bond present, maintained and sustained and reciprocated usually, for sexual attraction to be activated within them and to actually last. So that's one type of grey asexual, is a demisexual. The rest of the time, they don't experience this bond. They are asexual. They don't experience any sexual attraction whatsoever. That's how come they're on the asexual spectrum. But asexuality is a sexual orientation, but it's also a spectrum of identities called the asexual spectrum. So asexuality is a sexual orientation that asexuals belong to. And the asexual spectrum is every person and category of person ranging from pure asexuals to grey asexuals. Pure asexuals don't experience any sexual attraction whatsoever. Grey asexuals do experience sexual attraction usually, but only under limited, rare, specific circumstances, or they experience it but not enough to want to act on it. So think of it like a piece of string with pure asexuals and grey asexuals, and you've got loads of different nuances in between. I hope that makes sense. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this live Q&A about what is asexuality. And there are some other signs you might be asexual, but are less noticeable. And I want to talk about them before I go. So some of the more unusual signs is you might experience sexual attraction towards someone on television, even maybe a cartoon character, but you don't experience sexual attraction to people who are in your own life outside of being famous or who are a real person. So some asexuals on the grey end of the asexual spectrum, they experience sexual attraction again, but only in limited circumstances. So someone who's fictosexual, for example, is attracted sexually to fictional characters only, not actual human beings. And some people are sexually attracted to people like in their fantasies, but they don't want to, and they want to have sex in their fantasies, but they don't want to have sex in reality. They'll fantasize about sex, but they don't want it with a real person in real life. That's a form of grey asexuality. So they do experience sexual attraction under those circumstances in their fantasies, but they don't experience it in the reality outside of those fantasies. So again, like I said, some people can be sexually attracted to famous people, which is an actual person, but in their close vicinity, the people they meet in everyday life, they don't experience sexual attraction to those. They just may have sexual attraction towards someone famous, for example, but not anyone else usually. So these are some of the types that you can get, or they might be attracted to a few, famous people sexually, but not anyone that's not famous. They might have certain stipulations like that. So asexuality is very interesting. There's a lot of nuances with it. You can have someone, again, who is romantic like me. I'm a hyper-romantic, which is not normal. I don't know anyone that's a hyper-romantic that's asexual, but you can have different variations of aromantic asexuals, those that lack romantic attraction and sexual attraction. You can have someone who's a grey romantic, meaning they do experience some romantic attraction, but very similar to demisexuals, but with romance, they don't, not demisexual, sorry, grey asexuals, I should say. The grey asexuals experience sexual attraction, but not enough to want to act on it. So with grey asexuals, grey romantic, sorry, you've got grey romantic asexuals and you've got grey asexuals. So I'm going to get you confused, right? So basically what I'm trying to say is there's a part of the asexual spectrum and it has aromantic asexuals. So you can get aromantics, people that lack romantic attraction, who are not asexual. And you can get people who are asexual and on the aromantic spectrum. And with the aromantic spectrum, you get variations within the asexual spectrum. So you get people that are aromantic, experience no romantic attraction whatsoever. Then you can get a grey romantic that experiences little to no romantic attraction. Or they might experience romantic attraction but not enough to want to act on it. And then you can get someone who's a demi-romantic, which is the equivalent, if you like, to demisexual, but in romantic terms. This is someone who can only experience romantic attraction when a deep emotional bond has been formed, maintained and sustained and reciprocated, basically. And then you can get a cupioromantic. A cupioromantic is someone who desires a romantic relationship despite not experiencing any romantic attraction. You can get a cupiosexual, someone who desires a sexual relationship despite not experiencing any sexual attraction. So it can get very complicated because there's all nuances. There's grey asexuals and there's grey romantics. They can be part of the asexual spectrum. So this is how it ends up being very nuanced. So I identify actually as a heteroromantic, meaning I'm attracted to the opposite gender. And I say asexual because I'm asexual, don't experience any sexual attraction. Grey A. So I say grey A, not because I experience any sexual attraction at all, but because I have grey areas. Now, a grey sexual and a grey asexual usually mean that a person will experience sexual attraction, but not enough to want to act on it. Or they'd experience it, but only under limited, rare, or specific circumstances. I don't experience any sexual attraction whatsoever. But in my Asexual Perspectives book, I redefine, don't forget to get a copy of this on Amazon, I redefine what it means to be grey asexual. Now, that's not an official definition, but I like to call myself a grey A because I have grey areas. Because the way I like to kiss is sexual in behaviour, but I don't experience any sexual attraction. I have high arousal levels, but zero sexual attraction. And sometimes it's easier on asexual dating sites, for example, to put grey A because so they know I've got grey areas. So if they're expecting me to display no sexual behaviour whatsoever, then they might feel uncomfortable if I've got sexual behaviour in the way I like to kiss, despite not experiencing any sexual attraction, not liking nudity and wanting the guy's hands around my back and not wanting to be naked with him. So I like to put that on there. Younger cougar, so I'm a guy. I'm not a guy, sorry. I'm a girl. You can tell I'm getting tired now. I'm a girl who's attracted to guys. I don't mind. I have some guy traits. But I'm not a guy. So I'm attracted to guys only, but younger guys. So I say asexual cougar. I don't have any bad connotation with cougar. So I'm an asexual cougar. So I'm an asexual person who likes younger guys. So I identify as heteroromantic, asexual, grey A, asexual younger cougar who doesn't like sex, just kissing, or you could say a heteroromantic, hyperromantic, kisser, asexual person with grey areas that likes kissing with their clothes on, like younger guys. Would you say asexuality could be symptomatic of some underlying neurodivergence? No, definitely not. There are some people who are asexual and have neurodivergence because they're autistic, but there's people I know that are autistic and they have a very high sex drive and they're heterosexual, definitely not asexual. So there tends to be a myth where some people think if you're autistic, for example, you're asexual, or if you're asexual, you're automatically autistic. This is not true. There are a number of people in the world that are autistic and they're definitely not asexual. I had a boyfriend in the past that was autistic and definitely not asexual. I mean, he was pretty much sex mad, which is probably why it didn't last very long, the relationship, because I found out that he had lots of porn type of women on his phone and that he's connected to. I also knew someone else who used to be coming to my work when I worked for an employer who is autistic. I don't speak to this person anymore. But they used to like me, but they also had a girlfriend. And they used to say they're autistic and they're like, oh, but I'm not like you. You know, I like sex. I need sex. Right? They were autistic. They used to come into my work, even though some people at my work at the time, because I used to work for an employer, said, you've got to sort it out because he can't keep coming. But with the way his autism was, he needed to turn up at a repetitive pattern every single week at the same time and do his routine with me, which obviously in a retail store, when I worked in a retail store, was inappropriate sometimes. And I used to see him sometimes outside of my work, I should say, but then he kind of ended up displaying behaviour that wasn't good, and so I had to leave that connection. But in any case, yeah, so I definitely don't think that asexuality got anything to do with any medical condition or neurodivergence or any hormone imbalance or anything like that. There's no underlying cause like that if you're naturally asexual. I've always been asexual, but just didn't realise it. I was born that way. Looking back, it's obvious to me. I wasn't interested in sexual activities. Even when I was 6, a guy who as a boyfriend, I was interested in kissing him. I used to kiss him passionately at 6 years old, and he liked doing sexual stuff. He was the same age as me, and I wasn't interested. I didn't like that. Felt invasive. Felt horrible. I'm not interested. And the counsellor at college just goes, "Oh, that's normal to have that experience when you're young." I'm like, I don't like that. So it's obvious I was different. And one of my former boyfriends, when he found out I was asexual later on in life, he goes, "Oh, it's obvious. I always knew you were." I'm like, well, you could have told me. Do you know what I mean? Because I didn't know I was asexual. Because I remember he invited me to go away on a trip to France with him, and I hadn't known him that long. I knew his mum. I used to work for his mum, and then we got together in a relationship. But I hadn't been in a relationship with him very long. He was inviting me to go away with him to France for the weekend. And I was like, I'm not interested. Like, I knew that you probably want sex in my head, and I'm like, I'm really not interested in doing that. As it turned out, he wasn't a good guy at that time. He was actually two-timing women and stuff. After I was in a very brief relationship with him, and I kissed him and realised it wasn't right, and so I had to tell him on the phone, look, that just doesn't work for me. So it wasn't just about the France thing, but I said no straight away, and then he kissed me. It's like kissing a lizard. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like kissing a lizard. I knew then that I could only be friends with that guy. I was never meant to be in a relationship with him. So I can tell by kissing a guy if I'm meant to just be his friend or more, possibly. But yeah, so that didn't end well at the time. He phoned me up and goes, "If you ever want someone who loves you, let me know," and put the phone down. But then later on, we actually became friends. But he wasn't good with women back then. So I used to see him as a friend. He used to take me out in his car, and we used to go and sit on the seafront of Teignmouth in the UK and stuff like that. But he wasn't a good guy with women. He was fine with me as a friend, but he wasn't good with women. And then years later now, he's a police officer. He's got a wife and kids, and he's all settled down, and he actually a changed man for the better, which is really good. There's not many guys I actually see doing that, but he is living proof that it can happen. And so that's really good. So we don't, unless we see each other in the street, because I've seen him sometimes doing his police stuff somewhere, then we don't usually connect or talk anymore. But you know what I mean, if I see him, I say hi to him and stuff like that, and same he does with me. But yeah, I think our brains work differently because we're not wired for sex. Like, I don't get the need, urge, or want for sex. Even if I'm kissing a guy for a long time, I get aroused in my body. I'm very much capable of arousal. But for me, I'm capable of extreme levels of arousal. Like, that's why I thought I was heterosexual for years. I mistook my high levels of arousal for sexual attraction, not realising they're two completely different things. I thought they were exactly the same thing, but they're not. You can have high levels of arousal, but it not being aimed at anyone, which is what some asexuals have as sex drive as well. I don't have a sex drive because I haven't got drive for sex, but I have arousal in genitalia, but it's not aimed at anyone. It's for kissing. So it's like if I'm thinking about kissing, I get aroused because I'm interested in kissing. It's exciting for me. It's exciting in my body, regardless of if I'm kissing anyone or not. It's the kissing itself that excites me, not regardless of if a person's involved or not. There can be no one involved. You can just think about kissing myself, and that's it. So, but I mistook that. I thought, when I was kissing my ex, obviously I got aroused when I was kissing, and I thought that was sexual attraction, but it wasn't, because I never thought to myself, I want sex with you. I had sex in the past because I felt I had to as part of a normal relationship. And I was getting a lot of kissing at the time, so I'm like, oh, I'm getting my kissing, you can have your sex. That's kind of how my mind worked at the time. Even though I wasn't really bothered about it. I wasn't sex repulsed back then. I'm sex repulsed now for me. So I can't do it now. Like, after that last long-term relationship in 2011 ended, I just couldn't bring myself to ever do that again. I just can't. Even if the guy's really good looking, it's like, I just don't want it. can't have it, you know? So I personally don't think it's got anything to do with neurodivergence. I do believe the brain works differently, though, for asexual. I think we're wired differently. But then it could be our whole mechanism that's wired differently. My arousal doesn't go towards sex. My arousal goes for something else completely, well, it's not completely different, is it? It's kissing. But you know what I mean? I don't need the guy's genitalia for kissing. I don't need to see his bits for that. You know what I mean? So... But I just don't get the need, urge, or want for it. It's not something I desire or would usually think about. Like, I didn't even think about it when I was a teenager. It was only because I had boyfriends that brought it up. And I'm like, oh, I didn't really think about that. So that was difficult, right? And that's a sign that you're asexual if you're like in your teens or growing up and other people are talking about sex, or they think it's like a normal experience and they talk about it like it's something that people do, and you're like, I haven't really thought about it. Like, the only reason I'm thinking about it is because you brought it to my attention. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be entertaining the idea. And so that's a huge sign that you're asexual, because you're not thinking about that. You're not getting the need, urge, or want for sex. You're likely asexual, at least on the asexual spectrum. So I think it's really important to constantly assess yourself when you're dating or getting into a relationship, or when you're attracted to someone. I talk about different forms of attraction on this channel because I want people to know there's so many different types of attraction that got nothing to do with sexual attraction, in the sense they're not the same, because a lot of people, they just bundle all attraction with sexual attraction, but they're actually different. So you can be romantically attracted to a gender, for example, but not sexually attracted to them. Even some heterosexuals can be sexually attracted to one gender and romantically attracted to another. You can find some heterosexuals that are sexually attracted to the opposite gender, but yet they're romantically attracted to both the opposite gender and the same gender as them. So you can find yourself aesthetically attracted to someone that might not be the gender you're usually attracted to. You might think you're intellectually attracted to someone, as in you want to keep talking to them, you want to be around them. You want to be, not just for like in a personal growth or self-development growth way, but because you genuinely get attracted to them, you're drawn to them to engage in conversation with them, want to hear more and more from them because it's that specific person, and it's like a pull towards them. So it's always a good idea to monitor yourself and to be able to be self-aware enough to dissect the different attractions you have for someone, whether it's aesthetic or romantic or emotional, or you're attracted to them because they're clothes they wear, or you're attracted to them spiritually. It's like you feel your souls are spiritually connected to each other. Of course, you can have a spiritual connection to someone who you're not actually attracted to in the full-blown sense. Attraction, you know, like you might just have a soul that you connect with rather than you're attracted to. If you're attracted to someone on a soul level, like you feel they're your soulmate, and it's more of a like, oh, I can't be without you in my life because I feel like our souls are intertwined with each other and we're meant to be together, as opposed to, it's great to connect with you sometimes because I feel our souls are in alignment. Do you know what I mean? There's difference. Attraction is more of a pull, like wanting to spend time with that person, wanting them to be a bigger part of your life, wanting them to be in it, you know, as a permanent fixture often, rather than just someone you connect with and just feel that your souls are in alignment with where you are now. It's kind of why I want to spend a much more time with you all the rest of my life with you, because I think you're my soulmate flame, if you like, twin flame or whatever. Although soulmates and twin flames are supposed to be different. So it depends whether you believe in soulmates, twin flames or whatever. But you can be spiritually attracted to someone, like you feel that even when you're not with them, you still understand what they're thinking, what they're feeling. It feels like they're with you, even though they're not, because you're so in alignment with them, if that makes sense. So I think the main point of the video is to always treat asexuals as individuals and get to know the individual asexual that you're talking to or in connection with at the time, because we're all so very different. The asexual spectrum is all the identities of asexuality plus all the subcategories and all the nuances, of which there is many. So if you're new to asexuality, you want to know more about the asexual spectrum, I highly recommend getting my Asexual Perspectives book. It's a really good book that shows asexuality in real life context rather than just give you textbook definitions of asexuality, which is much more easier to absorb and understand then. Like, anyone can just get textbook definitions off the internet, right? Which may or may not be true, depending on what AI you look at or what person is talking about it, depending on how much of the actual experience they've got. But this, has got 47 asexuals, including myself, in this book. But this is all the questions you could possibly ask about love life and sex from an asexual point of view to all different types of asexuals around the globe. And they answer it from their own perspective, so it gives really good insights. I'd highly recommend, getting Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories book on Amazon. Should be able to order it from good bookshops as well, but, Amazon's easy, isn't it, if you shop on there. And, this is a title that is easy to find on Amazon. I also did Diary Confessions of a Hyperromantic Asexual. This is my own, personal diary book. So if you love this channel and you love my asexual content and find out about my asexual life and learning through my own dating and relationships, this is a perfect guide to dating and relationships for you. And it also has a lot of life lessons that you can learn, because don't forget, when we are in a relationship with someone or we're dating people, we learn something from them usually. And these are the life lessons I learned while having different romantic encounters, if you like. And the lessons learned from that are very important for all different aspects of your life and my life. So check that out, Diary Confessions of a Hyperromantic Asexual. And so, these are all on Amazon. And if you want to have more energy and less pain, then grab a copy of Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook. This is like my superhero autobiographical handbook on how I manage the chronic pain condition fibromyalgia. But I do teach you how to reduce pain up to 25 aspects of your life. And most of which of these apply to anyone, even if you've not got fibromyalgia. It's a great little read. It's told in a superhero style way. There's my Ace Fibro Girl outfit, and it's quite entertaining as well as being informative and educational. Talks about different forms of pain in your life and how to decrease them or get rid of them. So they're all good books. Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook, Asexual Perspectives book, and Diary Confessions of a Hyperromantic Asexual. Just type the titles into Amazon. They should come up. Sandra Bellamy is my actual name, because some people are like, what's your real name? Asexualise, my asexual life. What are you really called? I'm called Sandra Bellamy. That's my actual name. I don't have a middle name. And Quirky Books is my own book publishing company that I publish them under. I'm a registered publisher in the UK under Quirky Books. Quirky Books, because I like to be quirky and different even before I found out I'm asexual. So I hope you've enjoyed this live stream. Happy Asexual Awareness Week, otherwise known as Ace Week these days. If you've got any more comments, questions or queries about asexuality, please post them in the comments below after this video has finished, and I'll try and answer them for you either in comments or in other videos. And thanks for being here. Thanks Jed, I think it is, Chris, and a lot of other people who were in here. Scott, and there's been a number of other people. So, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. Thanks for the thumbs up. If you want to support the channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Give the video a thumbs up, share it, share clips from it, whatever you want to do. And if you do want to donate to the channel, there is in fact a link in the links description on this channel where you can just click through and donate to this channel if you've got any value from it. It's a PayPal link. So thank you for being here. Lots of love to you, and I'll see you soon on next video live stream. Take care, and as always, stay ace. Love you.